think that's, it's their vision of where they want to go in the world. I think you have to look at those countries all individually and realize they have very proud cultures. China at one time was considered the preeminent country in the world and it lost that position. It's regaining it. They're very work focused. They're very proud. They have, as you suggested, the work ethic. They have governments that are very developmentally oriented.
And what resources do they have that we don't have?
That's a very interesting question that you mentioned, because if you look at all those countries, when it comes to natural resources, they're natural resource poor.
Yeah, exactly.
And, but I think it is, well, one thing they definitely have is an education system that's surpassing ours. If you look at all the international tests of, who provides high quality secondary high school education, all countries in that area surpass the U.S., and that's really a shame.
What percent of that region speak English?
A very high percentage, because in all countries, English is a required topic, a subject in school from junior high school on.
No, because so many people I know that are doing business are heading to China. They're opening up sandwich shops and selling fiber optic cable, and wireless is going nuts. What are we doing here in America that makes that such fertile ground to do business?
That makes China such fertile ground to do business? Well, I think that, most of the countries in East Asia, they keep a very close eye on what's going on in America. They look at us and scrutinize us much more closely than we do them.
And we do ourselves?
We do ourselves, yeah. Good point. They hold America as a model. There's lots of things that they don't like about America, but there's lots of things that they do like.
What don't they like?
Well, I think you'd have to say in China's case, they don't particularly like Americans' insistence on human rights. To be really honest, to be really candid.
Human rights bothers them?
Yeah, when it comes right down to it, and they're not very enthusiastic about American democracy, and they're not very enthusiastic about America preaching to them how they should change their society.
What sort of things do you cover in your column?
Well, I talk a lot about both the domestic and international politics of not only of China, but of Korea, of Japan, of Taiwan. Wow. And I look at the column as not so much a place as to propound a certain point of view, but maybe as a sort of an educational tool. It's geared to the general reader.
What would the people in China think of your column if they were to read it?
They probably wouldn't like some things I said.
For instance?
Well, I think that I suppose every writer thinks they're fair, and I guess I would say I'm fair too. But sometimes the Chinese government, I'm talking about the mainland Chinese government, I think it's a little too authoritarian. And there is no democracy in the party. The party it's very authoritarian.
But they clamp down on everything. I mean, if somebody has internet access, I mean, they filter everything that comes in and out of the place.
True.
How does an American do business in that? And why are people, see, what surprises me, that people would flock there to do business with such constraints.
The Chinese, when it comes to politics, they're very sensitive. There's no doubt about it. Yet, when it comes to business, they're very flexible, they're very accommodating, they're willing to make deals. Of course, if it benefits
let me see if I got this right. The Chinese are willing to make deals?
On business. There's not a whole lot of room for compromise on politics.
Yeah.
Another thing I think that people have to understand about China, there's a lot of misperceptions, I think, in the general press about China. If you pick up a lot of newspapers, it sounds like China is becoming this extremely wealthy country.
Yeah,
and in some ways it is, but yet it's a very poor country in lots of ways. I mean, it's a huge population, and it's made tremendous strides forward, yet it's still a very poor country. It's also very fragile. And that's one reason why they're not so enthusiastic about democracy. This is a country that could fall apart very, very easily.
So I say they hold the reins tight because they know that they could probably lose control very quickly if we were to come in and take over.
I'd like to say one other thing, too. Across the Taiwan Straits in Taiwan, and some people's view the enemy of China and vice versa, is a very strong and growing democratic tradition, a very I would say, envious democratic elections modeled by a lot of countries.
We'll touch a little bit on that when we come back. Ladies and gentlemen, columnist Bill Sharp, when we return. You know that.
Don't miss the best entertainment in Waikiki. Imagine a show with 5 of the greatest stars in the history of show business. Elvis, Tina Turner, Little Richard, Whitney Houston, and the Blues Brothers, recreated by the world's greatest tribute artists. Stars in concert, showing nightly except Wednesday at the beautiful Sheraton Princess Kaiulani. 2 optional dinner packages, free parking for dinner guests. Stars in concert, don't miss it.
At your Hawaii Pizza Hut, the future is now with online ordering. Select from our full menu. Set your delivery time for now or later. Connect at the office. It's online ordering at PizzaHutHawaii.com. Now you can order online and get a large specialty pizza for $3 with the purchase of a large specialty pizza at regular price. Point, click, eat at PizzaHutHawaii.com.
So much. I am talking to Bill Sharp, Honolulu Star Bulletin columnist, expert on China, Northeast Asia. What were you saying about how the Chinese like, what is it?
Well, I think that it's probably hard for Americans to understand, but we're so, interested in democracy and human rights and that sort of thing. The Chinese put the real premium on stability. That's what they're really interested in.
At the expense of freedom.
At the expense of what we would call freedom. But on the other hand, it's important to understand what the Chinese consider to be freedom is different than what we consider to be freedom. If you talk to a lot of Chinese, they'll say, yeah, well, the rule's a little bit harsh, but we eat 3 times a day.
And you could be free and starve, or a little restrained and eat 3 times.
And that wasn't always the case in China.
Wow, I'll tell you what, in short history ago, you got to come back and we need to talk more about this.
Great.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much to the Down Street Band, Ace Grant, and the models from Hawaiian Tropics. Of course, Bill Sharp. That's our show. Good night.
Nighttime is sponsored in part by Hawaii IPTV, Hawaii's global television network, rocketing Hawaii around the world directly to your TV. Order online at tvfromhawaii.com.
Andy's Auto Servicing provided by European Auto Tech, servicing all makes and models. Mention Nighttime for a special discount.
Delilah Jones was the mother of twins, 2 times over and the rest.
Got a song to sing? Or a band that rocks? Got a story to tell? Email us. Booking, Bumatai.com. That's booking@Bumatai.com. Hey now, want to join Andy and the Nighttime gang? Come be a part of our Nighttime audience. Check out our website for dates and times of upcoming shows. For more information or to watch previously aired episodes, go to nighttimehawaii.tv. That's nighttimehawaii.tv. Oh yeah.